The warning lights flashed red across the communication deck of Harmony's watch station. Vextar's three eyes focused on the incoming transmission from Earth. His blue skin turned pale as he read the message. This was the worst news the galaxy could receive. "Commander?" Vextar called out. His voice shook with fear. "Earth is sending another distress signal. The Devourers are only 2 days away from their solar system." Commander Nalthor walked over to the communications station. His tall frame cast a shadow over the smaller alien. The commander's species had lived for thousands of years, but even he had never seen anything like the Devourers. They were machines mixed with living creatures. They ate entire planets. Nothing could stop them. "Play the message," Nalthor said quietly. The voice that came through the speakers belonged to Yunwu, Earth's head of galactic communications. Everyone in the galaxy knew his voice. For 20 years, he had been the bridge between Earth and the rest of the galaxy. His calm, steady tone had helped solve countless conflicts between different alien species. "This is Earth Communication Center," Hyunwoo's voice said. "We know many of you are listening. The Devourer fleet will reach our solar system in 47 hours. We have tried everything. Our ships cannot match their speed or power. Our weapons barely scratch their hulls." Vextar looked at the data screen. The numbers were terrible. Earth had 12 billion people on the planet itself. The Mars colonies held 8 billion more. The asteroid mining stations had another 27 billion workers. All of them would die when the Devourers arrived. "We want the galaxy to know," Hyunwoo continued, "that serving alongside all of you has been our greatest honor. Humans were proud to be part of the Galactic Council. We helped end 3 wars. We built trading routes that connected 50 different worlds. We learned your languages, your customs, your dreams." On the other side of the galaxy, Mira sat in her small apartment on Centauri Trade Hub. She was one of only a few hundred humans living outside the Sol system when the Devourers began their approach. As Earth's ambassador to the trading hub, she had spent 10 years helping different alien species work together. Now she could only listen as her home world prepared to die. Tears ran down her face as she heard Hyunwoo's voice. She had worked with him many times. He was a good man with a wife and 2 children. All of them were still on Earth. "The children here ask us why this is happening," Hyunwoo said. "We tell them that sometimes bad things happen to good people, but we also tell them that the friends we made across the stars will remember us. They will tell stories about the humans who tried to bring peace to the galaxy." Mira walked to her window. Outside she could see ships from dozens of different species. There were the tall, thin Veltari with their silver skin, the rock-like Gorneks who could live for 1,000 years, the small, furry Pipnin who were the best engineers in the galaxy. All of them had worked with humans. All of them would miss humanity when they were gone. Back on Harmony's watch, more reports came in. Refugee ships were fleeing from the outer human colonies. But there were not enough ships. Most humans would have to stay behind and face the Devourers. "Sir," Vextar said, "I'm getting reports from the Jupiter mining stations. They're sending out emergency pods, but they can only save about 10,000 people. 200,000 workers will be left behind." Commander Nalthor closed his eyes. In his long life, he had seen many tragedies. But the humans were special. They were the first species that seemed to truly care about others. Most races in the galaxy only worried about themselves. Humans were different. They helped everyone. The communication system crackled again. This time, the voice was different. It was Do Hyun, one of Earth's top scientists. He sounded tired and scared. "This is Dr. Do Hyun speaking from Earth Defense Command. We have tried everything we can think of. Our most powerful weapons cannot break through Devourer shields. Our fastest ships cannot outrun them. We estimate that Earth will fall within 6 hours after they arrive." Do Hyun paused. In the background, people could hear alarms and shouting. Earth was preparing for its final battle. "We are uploading all of our scientific data, our cultural records, our history, and our art to deep space transmitters. If anyone finds these transmissions in the future, please know that humanity fought with honor. We never gave up hope, even at the end." On the mining world of Kepler 442b, Taemin worked frantically in his laboratory. He was a human scientist, studying crystal formations. When the Devourer threat became known, he wanted to return to Earth. But travel would take 3 months, and the Devourers would arrive in 2 days. Taemin stopped his work and listened to the transmissions from home. His parents were on Earth. His sister worked on the Mars colonies. His best friend from university was part of the defense fleet that would try to slow down the Devourers. None of them would survive. Why did this have to happen? Taemin said to himself. Humans never hurt anyone. We helped everyone we met. We made the galaxy a better place. His alien research partner, a crystalline being named Shimra, placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Your species brought something special to the galaxy, Shimra said. Hope. Before humans joined the Galactic Council, most of us believed that different species could never truly work together. You proved us wrong. Back on Earth, Hyunwoo sat at his communication station one last time. Around him, people were saying goodbye to their families. Some were crying. Others were trying to stay brave. Children played in the hallways, not fully, understanding what was about to happen. This is our final transmission, Hyunwoo said into his microphone. In a few hours, the Devourers will be here. Our defense fleet will do what it can, but we know the outcome. We want our friends across the galaxy to know that we forgive you for not being able to help. The distances are too great, and the Devourers move too fast. He looked at a picture on his desk. It showed him with ambassadors from 12 different species. They were all smiling at a peace celebration on the neutral world of Haven Prime. That was where humans had helped end a century-long war between the Veltari and the Gorneks. We have one last request, Hyunwoo continued. Please remember, us not as the species that died, but as the species that tried to live well. We brought our best to the galaxy. We offered friendship to everyone we met. We believed that different people could become one family among the stars. The transmission was getting weaker. The Devourers were close enough now to interfere with Earth's communications. Tell our story to your children, Hyunwoo said. His voice was fading. Tell them that humans loved music and art and books. Tell them that we laughed together and cried together and dreamed of a future where all species could live in peace. Tell them that we never stopped believing in tomorrow, even when tomorrow would not come for us. On Centauri Trade Hub, Mira pressed her hands against the window. She could see her reflection, but she was thinking of Earth. Her homeworld was about to die, and she could do nothing to save it. We remember you all, came Hyunwoo's final words. Tell our story. Then there was silence. Vextar stared at his communication equipment. No signals were coming from the Sol system. Nothing from Earth. Nothing from Mars. Nothing from the asteroid stations. The entire human civilization had gone quiet. It's over, Commander Nalthor said softly. Humanity is gone. Across the galaxy, beings of dozens of different species stopped what they were doing. They had all been listening to Earth's final transmissions. In markets and schools and government buildings, there was a moment of complete silence. Everyone understood that something wonderful had just been lost forever. On Centauri Trade Hub, Mira fell to her knees and wept. She was now one of maybe 1,000 humans left alive in the entire galaxy. Her species, the species that had brought so much hope and peace to the stars, was extinct. The Devourers had won. Earth was silent. The galaxy would never be the same. But in the deep space monitoring stations, something strange was happening. Long-range sensors detected unusual energy signatures moving through the outer rim of the galaxy. The signatures were not from any known species. They were not from the Devourers either. Something else was out there moving through the darkness between stars. Something was watching. Something was waiting. But for now, all the galaxy knew was that Earth had gone silent, and with it, humanity's voice was lost forever among the stars. 6 months had passed since Earth went silent. The galaxy still mourned. Memorial services were held on dozens of worlds. Statues of human diplomats were built in major cities. The Galactic Council created a new holiday called Remembrance Day, to honor humanity's sacrifice. But something strange was happening on the edges of known space. Captain, Zul'Dan of the Galactic Council Enforcement Division received the first report while his ship was patrolling near the outer rim. His communications officer, a nervous young Veltari named Kessina, brought him a datapad with shaking hands. "Sir," Kessina said, "you need to see this. Scout Ship 7 just sent this in from the dead zone near the Crab Nebula." Zul'Dan looked at the report. His 4 eyes widened in surprise. According to the data, Scout Ship 7 had found something impossible. A Devourer hive ship was floating dead in space. The massive vessel, bigger than most cities, showed no energy, readings, no life signs, no movement at all. "Are you sure this data is correct?" Zul'Dan asked. "Yes, sir," Kessina replied. "Scout Ship 7 confirmed it 3 times. The Devourer ship is completely dead. They've never seen anything like it." Zul'Dan had fought against Devourer ships before. They were nearly indestructible. Their hulls could resist the most powerful weapons. Their shields could absorb energy blasts that would destroy planets. No known force in the galaxy could kill a Devourer hive ship. "Set course for the Crab Nebula," Zul'Dan ordered. "Maximum speed." 2 days later, Zul'Dan's ship arrived at the location. What they found made no sense. The Devourer hive ship floated silently in space like a giant metal corpse. Its biomechanical surface, which should have been pulsing with life, was cold and gray. The tentacle-like weapons that normally extended from its sides hung limp and lifeless. "Run a full scan," Zul'Dan commanded. His science officer, a rock-like Gornex named Thurval, worked at his station. After several minutes, he looked up with confusion on his stone face. "Sir, there's no damage to the hull," Thurval reported. "No signs of weapons fire, no explosions, no energy drain. The ship just stopped working. All biological components are dead. All mechanical systems are shut down." Zul'Dan had served in the Galactic Council military for 40 years. He had seen many strange things. But this was beyond his understanding. "Sir," Kessina called out, "I'm detecting another dead Devourer ship 12 light-years from here, and another one 20 light-years in the opposite direction." On the other side of the galaxy, Taimin received news that made him stop his crystal research completely. His alien colleague Shimra brought him a communication from the Galactic Science Council. "Taimin," Shimra said, "you need to hear this. Reports are coming in from all over the galaxy. Devourer ships are being found dead in space. Dozens of them." Taimin put down his tools. Since Earth's fall, he had thrown himself into his work to forget his grief, but this news was too important to ignore. "How is that possible?" Taimin asked. "Nothing can kill Devourers like that." "Nobody knows," Shimra replied. "The Galactic Science Council is putting together investigation teams. They want human scientists to join because humans understood technology better than most species. You're one of the few human scientists still alive." Taimin thought about his dead family on Earth. His parents had been engineers. His sister had been a computer programmer. If they were alive, they would want him to find answers. "I'll go," Taimin said. Meanwhile, on Centauri Trade Hub, Mira was trying to help other human survivors cope with their loss. There were only 847 humans left in the entire galaxy, scattered across dozens of worlds. Most were diplomats, scientists, or traders who had been away from the Sol system when the Devourers attacked. Mira received a message from her old friend Mi Young, a human engineer working on New Sol Station. The message made her heart race. "Mira," Mi Young's recorded voice said, "I need to tell you something strange. I've been looking at the reports of dead Devourer ships. The energy readings don't match anything I know, but there's something familiar about them. The patterns remind me of something my brother Do-hyun was working on before Earth fell." Mira remembered Do-hyun. He had been one of Earth's top weapons researchers. His final transmission from Earth had mentioned secret projects that could help defend the planet. Everyone assumed those projects had died with Earth. Mi Young's message continued. "I think Do-hyun and his team were working on something big, something they never told the public about. The energy signatures from these dead Devourer ships match theoretical calculations I saw in his notes." 2 weeks later, The investigation? Teams gathered on Haven Prime, the neutral world where humans had once helped broker peace agreements. Timon joined Captain Zul'Dan's team. Mi-young came from New Sol Station. Other scientists and military officers from across the galaxy brought their expertise. The team traveled to the location of the first dead Devourer ship. As their vessel approached the massive hulk, everyone fell silent. Up close, the Devourer ship was even more impressive and terrifying. It stretched for 20 kilometers from end to end. Its biomechanical surface was covered in weapons that could destroy entire fleets. "I'm reading residual energy traces," Mi-young reported from her engineering station. "Very faint, but they're there. The signature is unlike anything in our databases." "Captain," Zul'Dan ordered his team to board the dead ship. They put on environmental suits and took shuttles to the Devourer's main docking bay. The corridors inside were dark and cold. Emergency lights flickered weakly along the walls. Timon had studied alien biology for years, but the inside of a Devourer ship was like nothing he had ever seen. The walls were part machine and part living tissue. Cables and blood vessels ran side by side. Computer screens grew out of what looked like tree bark. "This place feels wrong," whispered Yeltar, a young Pipnan engineer on the team. "It's like walking inside a dead monster." They made their way to the ship's central core, where the main computer system should be located. What they found there made everyone stop and stare. The core was completely destroyed, but not by weapons. Something had surgically removed key components with perfect precision. Cables had been cut in exact locations. Bioneural pathways had been severed at specific points. It was the work of someone who understood Devourer technology completely. "Sir," Mi-young said, studying her scanner readings. "Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. They shut down the ship's vital systems in a way that would cause instant death to all biological components while preserving the mechanical structure." "Could the Devourers have done this to themselves?" asked Thurval. "No," Timon replied. "Devourers don't have this kind of surgical knowledge about their own systems. They're like a hive mind. Individual ships don't understand how they work." The investigation team spent 3 days examining the dead ship. They found no signs of battle damage, no evidence of explosive decompression, no traces of known weapons. Whatever had killed this ship had done so quietly and efficiently. On their last day aboard the Devourer vessel, Mi-young made a discovery that changed everything. In a storage bay near the ship's rear section, she found something that should not have existed. "Captain," Mi-young called over the radio, "you need to come to storage bay 12 immediately." When the team arrived, Mi-young pointed to a section of the wall where something had been attached. The mounting points were still there, but whatever had been mounted was gone. "Based on these connection points," Mi-young said, "something was plugged into the ship's navigation system, something that could access the ship's memory banks and download information." "What kind of device?" Zul'Dan asked. Mi-young ran her scanner over the mounting points. The energy signature matched what she had detected throughout the dead ship. "I don't know what it was," she said, "but I know who might have built it. The design philosophy matches human engineering principles. Clean lines, efficient connections, minimal waste." Timon examined the mounting points more closely. Mi-young was right. The design did look human, but it was more advanced than anything Earth's scientists had been capable of building. Maybe Do-hyun's secret projects were more successful than anyone knew, Timon said quietly. As the investigation team prepared to leave the dead Devourer ship, their long-range sensors detected something moving in the distance. A ship was approaching their location. It was too far away to get clear readings, but the energy signature was unusual. "Sir," Kessner reported, "unknown vessel approaching from the galactic rim. They're not responding to our hails." On the view screen, they could see a small dot of light growing larger. As it came closer, the shape became clearer. It was a sleek, angular vessel unlike any design in the galactic databases. Its hull was dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "I'm getting strange readings," reported Thurval. "The ship's energy output is enormous, but it's running almost completely silent. No communications, no identification, signals. The mysterious ship passed by the investigation team at a distance of 50,000 kilometers. For a brief moment, their sensors got a clear reading. The ship was definitely artificial, clearly built by an intelligent species. But the design was like nothing anyone had seen before. And then it was gone, disappearing into the darkness between stars as quickly as it had appeared. Did anyone else notice? Mi-young asked quietly. The hull design had... The reports kept coming from all over the galaxy. In the 3 months since the first investigation, scout ships had found over 200 dead devourer vessels floating in space. Each one had been killed in the same precise way. Each one had been stripped of navigation data by unknown technology. The galactic news networks called them the Silent Fleet, because witnesses reported seeing mysterious ships that never responded to communications. These dark vessels appeared without warning, eliminated threats, and vanished back into deep space. Sang-ho sat in the archive room of the Veltari embassy on Haven Prime, surrounded by data pads and holographic displays. As one of the few remaining human historians, he had been given access to classified human documents that survived in embassy files across the galaxy. For weeks, he had been searching through military reports, scientific papers, and government communications from the final days of Earth. He was looking for any clue about secret human projects that might explain the Silent Fleet. There, Sang-ho said to himself as he found another piece of the puzzle. Project Exodus Classification Level 10. The document was heavily redacted with most details blacked out, but what remained was enough to make Sang-ho's heart race. Project Exodus had been humanity's most secret undertaking. According to the fragments he could read, it involved long-term survival protocols and technological acceleration beyond current parameters. One line stood out. If Earth falls, humanity must become something greater than we are today. Sang-ho cross-referenced Project Exodus with other classified files. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. In the final years before the Devourer attack, Earth's best scientists had been working on theoretical technologies that seemed impossible. Quantum computing systems that could think faster than biological minds. Self-replicating factories that could build advanced ships in deep space. Energy sources that could power entire civilizations. They knew, Sang-ho whispered. Earth's leaders knew the Devourers were coming years before they attacked. They had time to prepare. Meanwhile, on the military world of Fortress Prime, Yun-ji studied tactical reports of Silent Fleet encounters. As a human military officer who had been training alien defense forces when Earth fell, she understood combat patterns better than most. The Silent Fleet's methods were clearly human in origin, but evolved far beyond Earth's original capabilities. They used coordinated strikes that human military doctrine had only theorized about. Their ships moved in formations that required instant communication across vast distances. Sir, Yun-ji said to General Mordak, the Gornek's military commander, who had become her mentor, I need to show you something. She activated a holographic display showing the locations where Silent Fleet ships had been spotted over the past month. Red dots appeared across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. At first, these encounters seemed random, Yun-ji explained. But look at the pattern. They're not hunting Devourers randomly. They're systematically eliminating any Devourer presence in specific regions. General Mordak studied the display with his ancient stone eyes. What regions? Yun-ji highlighted, areas in blue on the star map. Former human territories, trade routes that Earth used, worlds where humans had colonies or diplomatic missions. It's as if someone is clearing these areas of threats. Clearing them for what? Mordak asked. Maybe for humans to come back, Yun-ji said quietly. On the research station Deep Thought, Mi-young worked frantically in her laboratory. She had been analyzing energy readings from Silent Fleet encounters for months. The technology was definitely based on human principles, but it was centuries ahead of anything Earth had possessed. Her brother Do-hyun had been working on quantum communication systems before Earth fell. Mi-young had found references to his research in the embassy archives. His final reports mentioned breakthrough in consciousness transfer and successful integration of biological and quantum systems. Computer, Mi-young said to her labs. Artificial intelligence. Cross-reference quantum consciousness theory with the energy signatures from silent fleet encounters. The computer processed the data for several minutes. When the results appeared, Mi-young nearly fell out of her chair. Match probability, 89.7%, the computer announced. Energy signatures are consistent with large-scale quantum consciousness. Systems operating at superhuman processing speeds. Mi-young stared at the results. If the computer was right, the silent fleet wasn't just using advanced human technology. The ships themselves might be controlled by human consciousness that had been uploaded into quantum systems. Humans who could think and react faster than any biological mind. Halfway across the galaxy, Taemin made his own disturbing discovery. While examining crystal samples from the region where the first dead Devourer ship had been found, he detected unusual quantum fluctuations in the surrounding space. Shimra, Taemin called to his research partner. Look at these readings. The quantum field in this region has been altered. Shimra, being a crystalline life form, was naturally sensitive to quantum fluctuations. Her crystal body could detect changes that electronic instruments might miss. This is not natural, Shimra said, her voice ringing like musical chimes. Something has been manipulating the quantum field on a massive scale. The patterns suggest intentional design. Design for what purpose? Taemin asked. Communication, Shimra replied. Or perhaps computation. These quantum alterations could allow for information processing across interstellar distances. Taemin realized what Shimra was suggesting. Someone had turned entire regions of space into giant quantum computers. The processing power would be enormous, enough to coordinate actions across multiple star systems simultaneously. The breakthrough came when Sang-ho found a partially corrupted video file in the archives of Earth's embassy on Centauri Prime. The file was labeled Project Exodus Final Phase Authorization. The video showed Do-hyun standing in what looked like a massive underground facility. Behind him, Sang-ho could see equipment that didn't match any known human technology. Strange crystalline structures connected to quantum processors. Biological pods linked to computer systems. Do-hyun's voice was distorted by data corruption, but some words came through clearly. If Earth cannot be saved, consciousness transfer. Biological bodies are not necessary for human survival. Quantum processing will allow accelerated development, protect the galaxy. The video cut out, but Sang-ho had heard enough. Project Exodus wasn't about building better weapons or faster ships. It was about transforming humanity itself into something that could survive any threat. On Haven Prime, the remaining human survivors gathered for a meeting. There were only 847 humans left in the entire galaxy, scattered across dozens of worlds. Mira had called them together using secure quantum communications to share what they had discovered. The evidence is clear, Mira said to the group. The silent fleet is human in origin. Our people didn't die when Earth fell. They became something else. Taemin shared his quantum field discoveries. Mi-young presented her analysis of the energy signatures. Yoonji explained the tactical patterns. Sang-ho showed them the fragments of Project Exodus. But where are they? Asked Jin-soo, a human merchant who had been trading with alien species when Earth fell. If humans survived, why don't they contact us? Maybe they can't, suggested Yu-jin, a human diplomat. If they uploaded their consciousness into quantum systems, they might not be able to communicate with biological minds directly. Or maybe, they're waiting, Yoonji said. Military doctrine suggests that you don't reveal your full capabilities until you're ready to act decisively. As the meeting continued, long-range sensors throughout the galaxy began detecting unusual activity. The silent fleet, which had been operating in small groups, was beginning to gather. Reports came in of dozens of dark ships converging on the outer rim of the Milky Way. On the monitoring station Harmony's Watch, Vextar noticed the change in the daily intelligence reports. Commander Nalthor joined him at the communication station. Sir, Vextar said, silent fleet activity has increased by 400% in the last week. They're moving toward the galactic rim in large numbers. Why would they go to the rim? Nalthor wondered. There's nothing out there but empty space and dead worlds. Unknown to the Galactic Council, something was indeed happening at the galaxy's edge. Deep space sensors detected massive energy buildups in regions that should have been empty. Quantum fields fluctuated in patterns that suggested enormous computational processes. And at the center of it all, something was being built. The silent fleet wasn't preparing for another battle against devourers. They were preparing for something much bigger. Long-range scouts reported structures being assembled in the void between galaxies, structures larger than planets powered by energy sources that defied current understanding. On Earth, which the galaxy believed to be a dead world consumed by devourers, the truth was very different. The planet's surface looked barren from space, but beneath the ground something incredible was taking place. In massive underground chambers, quantum processors hummed with the thoughts of 12 billion human minds. The consciousness of every person who had lived on Earth during the Devourer attack had been preserved and uploaded into a vast digital network. They were still human, but they could think and process information. Minho had always been good with codes and hidden messages. Before Earth fell, he had worked for the Human Diplomatic Corps, helping to translate complex alien languages and decode encrypted communications. Now, as one of the few human cryptographers left alive, he found himself facing the greatest puzzle of his career. The silent fleet had been spotted throughout the galaxy for months, but they never communicated with anyone. However, Minho had noticed something that others had missed. The ship's movements weren't random. When plotted on a star chart over time, their flight paths formed patterns, mathematical sequences, countdown numbers. "They are sending a message," Minho said to himself as he worked late in his small laboratory on New Sol Station. The entire silent fleet is one giant communication system. He had been tracking the fleet's movements for weeks. Each ship's position at specific times created coordinates that, when translated through quantum mathematics, revealed numbers counting down. The countdown was precise, calculated to the second. "Computer," Minho said, "display countdown sequence based on silent fleet movement patterns." The holographic display showed numbers decreasing steadily. 72 days, 14 hours, 23 minutes, 15 seconds. Countdown to what? Minho wondered aloud. Across the galaxy, other discoveries were being made. Long-range sensors had detected the impossible. Earth's energy signature had not only returned, but had increased by 10,000%. The planet was generating more power than an entire star system. Dr. Ji-hoon, a theoretical physicist who had escaped Earth's fall while studying black holes in the Andromeda sector, ran the calculations 3 times before believing the results. "This is beyond our understanding of physics," Ji-hoon told his research team. "No known technology can generate this much energy from a single planet. The power output suggests Earth has been converted into some kind of massive quantum processing system." His alien colleagues, scientists from different species who had worked with humans for years, listened in amazement as Ji-hoon explained what the numbers meant. "If these readings are correct," said Dr. Nexvar, a Veltari astrophysicist, "Earth isn't just producing energy for power generation. The quantum resonance patterns suggest computational processing on a scale we've never imagined." "What could require that much processing power?" asked Dr. Thrimnall, a young Gornek scientist. Ji-hoon looked at the data again, thinking, "If you uploaded the consciousness of billions of minds and accelerated their thought processes beyond biological limitations, you would need exactly this kind of processing power." Meanwhile, the Galactic Council had decided to investigate the situation directly. They assembled a diplomatic fleet led by Ambassador Yu Jin, one of the few remaining human officials. Her ship, the Harmony's Dream, was accompanied by vessels from 12 different species. As the diplomatic fleet approached the Sol system, they were met by a sight that no one was prepared for. The outer planets were surrounded by structures that hadn't been there before. Massive rings of dark metal orbited Jupiter and Saturn. Space stations the size of moons floated near Mars, and around Earth itself was a construction so enormous that it blocked out sections of the sun. "Sir," reported the fleet sensor operator, a nervous Pipnin named Kickstall, "I'm reading thousands of ships in defensive positions throughout the system. The designs don't match anything in our databases." "Ambassador," Eugene stared at the view screen in wonder. "The ships were beautiful, with sleek lines and elegant curves that were definitely human in their design philosophy. But they were far more advanced than anything Earth had been capable of building. "This is Ambassador Yu-Jin of the Galactic Council," she transmitted on all frequencies. "We request permission to enter the Sol system for diplomatic purposes." For several minutes, there was no response. Then, slowly, one of the unknown ships approached their position. It was smaller than the Council ships but radiated power signatures that dwarfed their entire fleet. A new voice came over the communication system. It was human, speaking perfect galactic standard. But there was something different about it. The voice seemed to carry multiple harmonics, as if several people were speaking in perfect unison. "Ambassador Yu-Jin," the voice said, "we have been expecting you. You may proceed to Earth. Your escort will guide you." The unknown ship took position alongside the diplomatic fleet. As they traveled through the Sol system, Yu-Jin could see the incredible changes that had been made. The asteroid belt had been converted into a massive mining and construction operation. Automated factories produced new ships and equipment at an incredible pace. Space elevators connected planetary surfaces to orbital installations. "How long would this have taken to build?" whispered Captain Zul'dan, who was serving as military advisor for the diplomatic mission. "With conventional technology," replied Dr. Ji-hoon, "centuries. With advanced automation and unlimited power, maybe months." As they approached Earth, the planet looked nothing like the world Yu-Jin remembered. The surface was covered by a network of crystalline structures that pulsed with soft blue light. The structures were beautiful, like giant flowers made of light and metal, but they clearly served a technological purpose. "The entire planet has been converted into a quantum processing matrix," Ji-hoon said in amazement. "Every crystal structure is a processing node. The computational power is beyond measurement." Their escort ship led them to a docking bay that had been constructed in Earth's orbit. The station was enormous, easily capable of holding 1,000 ships. As the diplomatic fleet docked, they were greeted by a figure that made everyone stop and stare. It was human in appearance, but clearly enhanced beyond normal biological limitations. The being's skin had a slight metallic sheen, and their eyes glowed with a soft inner light. They moved with perfect grace and spoke with the same harmonic voice that had welcomed them. "I am Admiral Sujin of the Terran Continuity Fleet," the figure said. "I serve as the interface between the quantum consciousness network of Earth and biological visitors. Welcome to humanity's new home." Ambassador Yu-Jin found her voice. "Admiral Sujin, the galaxy believed Earth was destroyed by the Devourers. We mourned humanity's extinction. What happened here?" Admiral Sujin smiled, and for a moment she looked exactly like the humans Yu-Jin remembered. "Earth never fell, Ambassador. When the Devourers arrived, we were ready for them. We had spent years preparing for this day." She led the diplomatic party through corridors that seemed to be grown rather than built. The walls were alive with flowing patterns of light that resembled neural networks. Everything was beautiful and functional at the same time. "The Devourers attacked as predicted," Sujin explained as they walked. "But what they found was not a defenseless planet. In the final months before their arrival, every human on Earth volunteered for Project Exodus. We uploaded our consciousness into quantum processing systems while maintaining hybrid biological forms for those who needed to interact with the physical world. They entered a vast chamber with a transparent wall looking down at Earth. The planet's surface sparkled with billions of quantum processors, each one containing the consciousness of dozens of humans. 12 billion human minds thinking and processing information at speeds impossible for biological brains," Sujin continued. "We accelerated our technological development by centuries in a matter of months. The Devourers that attacked us were completely outmatched." "What happened to them?" asked Captain Zul'dan. "We studied them, understood them. Then we eliminated them not just from our system, but from the entire galaxy. The silent fleet you've been tracking represents only a small fraction of our capabilities." Yu-Jin looked around at the incredible technology surrounding them. "But why didn't you contact us? The galaxy has been in mourning for months." Admiral Sujin's expression became serious. Because we discovered something that required our immediate attention. The Devourers were not an isolated threat. They were scouts for something much worse. Something approaching from the space between galaxies. She activated a holographic display showing the local galactic cluster. Red markers appeared at various points, indicating threats that were moving toward the Milky Way. The Devourers came from the Void Realm, a region of space where normal matter cannot exist, Sujin explained. Their creators, beings we call the Void Lords, have been consuming galaxies for millions of years. The Milky Way is next on their list. The diplomatic party stared at the display in horror. Each red marker represented a threat that could destroy entire star systems. The Void Lords are not like any enemy the galaxy has faced, Sujin continued. They exist partially outside normal space-time. Conventional weapons cannot hurt them. Traditional strategies cannot defeat them. That's why humanity had to evolve beyond biological limitations. How long do we have? Yujin asked. 18 months, Sujin replied. The first wave of Void Lord forces will reach the galactic rim in 18 months. When they arrive, every species in the galaxy will face extinction unless we work together. She turned to face the diplomatic party directly. That's why we've been preparing. The Silent Fleet has been clearing Devourer remnants from strategic locations throughout the galaxy. We've been building defensive installations in the space, between star systems, and we've been developing technology that can protect all galactic civilization. The countdown had reached 0. Across the galaxy, every communication system received the same message simultaneously. It came not from any single source, but from quantum transmitters hidden throughout space. The voice belonged to Wu Jin, Earth's new collective speaker, representing the unified consciousness of 12 billion human minds. People of the galaxy, Wu Jin's voice said, this is Earth. We are not dead. We have become something new, and we bring an offer that will determine the survival of all life in the Milky Way. On thousands of worlds, billions of beings stopped what they were doing to listen. The transmission was being sent in every known language simultaneously, translated by quantum processors that could understand the deepest meanings of words and concepts. 6 months ago, you believed humanity was extinct. Wu Jin continued. We allowed you to believe this because we needed time to prepare for a threat that most of you cannot yet imagine. The Devourers were not the greatest danger facing our galaxy. They were merely scouts for entities that exist beyond normal space and time. On Centauri Trade Hub, Mira listened with tears in her eyes. The voice was unmistakably human, but it carried harmonics that suggested vast intelligence and processing power. Her species had not died. They had evolved. We call them the Void Lords, Wu Jin explained. For millions of years, they have consumed entire galaxies, leaving nothing behind but empty space. They exist partially outside the normal dimensions of reality, which makes them nearly impossible to fight with conventional weapons or strategies. The transmission included holographic data that appeared on screens throughout the galaxy. Star maps showed the approach of red markers from intergalactic space. Each marker represented a Void Lord force capable of destroying entire star systems. The first wave will reach our galaxy in 18 months, Wu Jin said. When they arrive, every planet, every species, every life form will face complete annihilation unless we work together to stop them. On Haven Prime, the Galactic Council had called an emergency session. Representatives from 57 species gathered to hear humanity's proposal. Ambassador Yu Jin, recently returned from Earth, served as the human representative. The quantum consciousness network that humanity has created allows for coordination and processing speeds impossible with biological minds alone, Yu Jin explained to the Council. Humans can now think, plan, and react fast enough to fight enemies that exist partially outside normal time. Council Speaker Velthera, an ancient Gornex who had served for 3 centuries, asked the question on everyone's mind. What exactly are you offering us, humans of Earth? The answer came not from Yu Jin, but directly from Wu Jin's transmission, which continued throughout the galaxy. We offer you the choice to evolve, Wu Jin said, not to replace your biological nature, but to enhance it. We have developed technology that can connect biological consciousness to quantum processing systems. You would remain yourselves, but with abilities far beyond current limitations. On screens throughout the galaxy, demonstrations began. The transmission showed Veltari, scientists solving complex mathematical equations at superhuman speeds while connected to quantum processors. Gornex engineers designing impossible structures by thinking directly with computer systems. Pipnin mechanics repairing starships by mentally interfacing with the ship's systems. Those who choose enhancement will be able to share knowledge instantly, across interstellar distances, Wu Jin explained. You will be able to process information and make decisions fast enough to coordinate galaxy-wide defense strategies. You will remain individuals, but you will also be part of a network that can think and act as a unified civilization. The demonstrations continued, showing enhanced beings working together to solve problems that would take normal minds years to understand. But the enhanced individuals clearly retained their personalities and free will. This is not forced conversion, Wu Jin emphasized. Every being in the galaxy has the right to choose. Those who wish to remain purely biological will be protected by those who choose enhancement. But everyone must understand that we face an enemy that requires every advantage we can develop. On New Sol Station, Minho watched the transmission with amazement. His mathematical analysis of the Silent Fleet's movements had been correct. Everything had been building toward this moment when humanity would reveal their transformation and offer it to the galaxy. The transmission shifted to show Earth itself, with its crystal processing network sparkling across the planet's surface. But now the view expanded to show something even more incredible. In the space between Earth and Luna, massive structures were under construction. They looked like flowers, made of light and metal, each one larger than most space stations. These are nexus gates, Wu Jin explained, quantum communication and transportation systems that will connect every world in the galaxy. Enhanced minds will be able to coordinate actions across thousands of light years instantly. Resources and knowledge will be shared freely among all species. The implications were staggering. The technology humanity was offering would essentially make the galaxy function as a single, unified civilization, while allowing each species to maintain their individual cultures and identities. But not everyone was ready to accept such a dramatic change. On the military world of Fortress Prime, General Mordak expressed the concerns that many were feeling. How do we know this isn't an invasion disguised as assistance? Humanity has developed technology far beyond our understanding. What if they use it to control us? The question was answered by Admiral Su Jin, whose image appeared on communication screens throughout the galaxy. She stood in what looked like a garden, surrounded by flowering plants and flowing water. But the garden was clearly part of a spacecraft orbiting Earth. I understand your concerns, Su Jin said. We have developed capabilities that might seem threatening to those who don't understand our true nature. But consider this. If we wanted to conquer the galaxy, we could have done so already. The Silent Fleet represents only a small fraction of our capabilities. We could have eliminated every potential threat and claimed every resource for ourselves. She gestured, and the view expanded to show the true scale of humanity's transformation. Thousands of ships moved through space around Earth. Manufacturing facilities built new technology at impossible speeds. Energy collectors gathered power from the sun itself. Instead, we offer our technology freely to all species, Su Jin continued. We ask for nothing in return except your cooperation in defending our shared home. The enhanced humans in our network retain their individual personalities and free will. We are still the same species that served as diplomats and mediators before our transformation. To prove this point, the transmission showed individual humans within the quantum network. They were recognizable as the same people they had been before enhancement, but with expanded capabilities. Families stayed together. Friendships remained intact. Love and art and music continued to flourish, but at levels of beauty and complexity that biological minds could barely comprehend. The choice is yours, Wu Jin said as the transmission neared its end. But choose quickly. We have 18 months to prepare for the Void Lord invasion. Those who wish to join the enhanced network can do so gradually, maintaining biological backup systems until they are comfortable with their new abilities. Those who prefer to remain unenhanced will be protected by defense systems we are building throughout the galaxy. The transmission concluded with coordinates for Nexus gates that were already under construction in major star systems. Any being who wished to experience enhancement could travel to these locations and begin the process safely. Over the following weeks, the galaxy wrestled with humanity's offer. Some species embraced it immediately. The Veltari, with their natural curiosity and love of knowledge, were among the first to request enhancement. Young Pipnin engineers volunteered eagerly for the chance to interface directly with technology. Other species were more cautious. The ancient Gornex wanted time to consider the philosophical implications. Several smaller species worried about losing their cultural identities. But as reports continued to arrive about Voidlord forces approaching from intergalactic space, more and more beings chose enhancement. The quantum network grew, connecting minds across the galaxy in ways that had never been possible. On Earth, the expanded human consciousness celebrated each new addition to the network. Every enhanced being brought new perspectives, new capabilities, and new solutions to the challenges they faced. Mira was among the first non-Earth humans to undergo enhancement. As her consciousness expanded and connected to the quantum network, she felt the presence of billions of human minds, including friends and family she had thought lost forever. "Welcome home," said a familiar voice. It was Hyunwoo, the communications officer who had sent humanity's final transmission from Earth. "We never forgot you, Mira. We've been waiting for you to join us." With tears of joy, Mira realized that death had not separated her from her loved ones. They had simply moved to a different form of existence, one that she could now share. As the enhanced network grew, defense preparations accelerated. Massive shipyards constructed vessels designed specifically to fight enemies that existed partially outside normal spacetime. Weapon systems were